Here we are again, going to solve rational equations. I'm going to show you how to do it algebraically, I'll do it, and then we'll do it graphically as well in the calculator. So from the last podcast, you learned that in order to solve something like this, you have to multiply by the common denominator. So the common denominator in this case, if I look at it, is going to be 2 minus k times 3. So I'm going to multiply both sides by that. So I have 2 minus k times 3 times the negative 3 over 2 minus k equal 2 minus k times 3 times k minus 2 over 3. And so at this point I have to pause and I have to look for ones that look funny looking ones. Well, if I consider this one here, 2 minus k over 2 minus k is 1, so they cancel. And here I got 3 over 3. That's a funny looking 1 as well, so they cancel. And so when I do some algebra on here, I got the left hand side is negative 9. The right hand side, I have to multiply this all out. To multiply this times it. So the first term is 2k. The last is minus 4. Inside is minus k squared. And the last is plus 2k. I have a squared term here, so it's a quadratic situation. I'm going to bring everything to one side of the equation and set it equal to 0. And I'm going to bring everything to that side. So I'm going to add 4 and add 4. I'm going to subtract 2k, subtract 2 more k, and add k squared. So when I do this all together, I get k squared minus 4k minus 5 equals 0. And so when I pause to look at this, I am going to try and factor it. I'm going to ask myself what two numbers multiply to get negative 5 and add to get negative 4. Well, I think with that's got to be a 5 and a 1, where the 5 is negative and the 1 is positive. And so, if I consider what's going on, I can say that k equals, k plus 1 equals 0, or k minus 5 equals 0, which will mean k is 5 and k is negative 1. Now I have to make sure I consider the top of my equations. This factor here on the bottom cannot be 0. The thing that would make that 0 is if this number, if I look at it, 2 minus something is 2. So k is not allowed to be 2. If I look at the answers I came up with, I got negative 1 and 5, so that's going to work out fine. So I get k equals negative 1 and k equals 5. So there's a good algebra one. Now, I'm also going to do it graphically. To do it graphically, there's lots of different ways to do it. I'm going to, at this time, my approach is going to be, I'm going to take this side of the equation, set it equal to y1. We'll make this y1. And I'm going to take this side of the equation and set it equal to y2. And if they're equal to each other, I want to find out when these two equations are equal to each other. So that's going to be the point of intersection. So if I go to my calculator now, we're going to enter them in. And I've already gone ahead and I've entered them in already. Be careful of your parentheses. Now you should probably pause now and try and throw it into your calculator and follow along. And you're going to try and see if you can find it yourself. You're going to go to the calculate menu. So I'm going to go second, calculate, and I'm going to look for the intersection, which is number 5. Here are my graphs. So if I look at my graphs here, and I'm going to pull this over here so we can talk about it a little bit better. If I look at my graphs, I have a bold one and a not so bold one. And if I look at what I put into my calculator, over here the y2 is bold. So this is y2. And I'm looking for the points of intersection. Well, that's going to be this point here, somewhere here, and this point here. So to do it, I go second, calculate, number 5. It's asking me for the first curve. So I'll hit enter. Second curve, it says, okay, I'll use that as my second curve. Good. And I'm going to guess 0 looks like it's close enough to this answer here. I hit guess, and I get my x value is -1. And I'm looking for the x value. So I get my first value to be -1. Okay. Now, if I do it again, I'm going to intersect. My first curve is y1, that's good. Second curve is y2. Now, if I guess -1, I'm going to end up here. I want to find the point up over in this region here. What looks to me to be about, if I count over, about 4, 5, or 6. So I'm going to hit 6. I hit enter, and it tells me that it is x equals to 5, which we already knew from before. Now, one of the things that so that's basically what you do. One of the things that your calculator might have, though, when you did it, you may have ended up with a line that came down kind of right here on your calculator. What that line is an asymptote. And so it's not really part of the graph. The calculator just doesn't know that it's not part of the graph. And so you have to ignore that line. And as you get better and better with your calculator, you'll start to realize there's some things that aren't really there. So there's a graphical approach by using intersection, and algebraic approach by using multiplying by the common denominator.